Yeah, and that's a good segue into my second book, which is just perception.
Mm-hmm.
How we perceive things. I mean, like one of the oldest examples I have is I love wolves. To me,
Mm-hmm.
they're family,
Oh
they're
yeah.
protective. They only kill to eat. They don't kill for any other reason unless they think they're endangered.
Mm-hmm.
But I love wolves. Other people think of wolves as being like the big bad wolf. No, they're
Vicious,
not. I
you
think
know.
they're very honorable creatures.
Mm-hmm.
So, how we look at things is, is our perception.
Mm-hmm. Oh
It's
yeah.
all the way we look at it. Like someone pissed me off, and I'll just say they
Yeah.
did piss me off. I'm not going to say what they did, but they actually, the reality is that they hurt my feelings. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why they pissed me off, because I pissed me off because I'm like, how dare you? How
Mm-hmm.
dare you even go there, that you think that you can go there?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I started, but I always keep my mouth quiet till I have to think about it, because I don't want to say anything I'm going to regret. And then
Yeah.
I started thinking about it. I'm like, okay, what part did I have to do in this?
Mm-hmm.
So if I have some responsibility for what happened, I have some responsibility on how I act. Yeah, I could be pissed off, but did I attract that? Is
Mm-hmm.
this a lesson I'm supposed to learn? Or is this something that I should look at myself and, say, okay, now I know I don't want people like this in my life anymore. So it's
Mm.
really how we perceive everything,
Yeah.
you know. And so I had to take some responsibility. When I saw why it really upset me, then I said, okay, the relationship is changed. I don't
Mm.
have any animosity with them, and I'll still say hello, but the degree of how close we were is gone.
Mm.
It's just
Yeah.
it wasn't it didn't mash well. And so even though I was upset, I did have something to do with it myself. I have to take responsibility for that.
Mm-hmm.
But was it a deal breaker? Pretty much a deal breaker in the terms of having a strong relationship. We still have a relationship, but it's not a strong relationship anymore.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Yeah, it was something that, you don't blow people's trust and think that that's going to be
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. No. No. I never did believe in that. And there's some family members I do not talk with because, you know, I always had this saying: if I cannot trust you, if I cannot depend on you, then there's no reason for me to talk with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because in my life, everybody I can trust, but if I lose that trust in you,
Yeah.
then
And
then
no,
but
it's absolutely true.
I get where you're
I
coming
have,
from.
yeah, I have a belief that we are born to the family that we are because that is our biggest karmic lesson to learn. So if
Mm,
we can accept that the
mm,
family is the biggest karmic lesson we have to learn, then it's like, I get
mm.
it. Now I
Oh,
know what my lesson is. How can I work with this lesson?
mm-hmm,
Because, and family can have the biggest hold on you too. It could be the
mm-hmm.
most toxic relationship, but you hold on to it because you're blood. No,
Yeah.
they to me are your karmic lesson. So you
Mm-hmm.
learn the karmic lesson, and then guys can hang out or not, whatever you want to do. But if you learn it, that this is why you came into this incarnation for it,
Mm-hmm.
then
Yeah.
it makes it easier to deal with, I think.
Exactly. 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 And and that's when you was talking, when you was saying that, I was like, ooh, ooh, I understand exactly where you coming from. And even with the wolf, I'm like, yo, there's another animal that I actually do love, but people think it's vicious. There's a couple of animals that I love that people say is vicious and stuff like that. I got the lion, I got the
Hmm.
jaguar, I got the wolf, but there's also another animal that I love that's even part of the prehistoric era, the alligator.
Hmm.
To anybody else, it's like, oh, it's this vicious thing with teeth. You know, if you step in the water, it will eat you. Well, you in its element, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
if you provoke it, it will come after you. And also if you're around its children, it will come after you. You know what I'm saying? And to me, that's like to me like, yo, it's like, for example, if somebody came after your children, what would you do? And that's how I explained it to somebody. I said, an alligator is just like us. It cares about its loved ones. It cares about, you know, seeing it grow and, you know, live on and be like how it is right now, you know, and it will protect it.
Yeah.
But you know, some people will be like this, oh no, it's a vicious animal, it gotta die. Like
And what people I don't think don't understand, the only time an animal becomes vicious is when they're hungry.
exactly.
They're out to hunt. They're out
Yeah,
to we just have it. We're just as guilty. We kill cows and pigs and everything to eat them, except it's farmed.
I'm
You
glad that you
know, I
brought
wish I
that
could
up.
be a vegetarian because honestly, when I think about it, I don't want to eat any of that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and I actually went I went to Louisiana and I took
Mhm.
one of those trips in the swamps to see the
Yeah.
alligators. They
Yeah.
love
The boat ride.
marshmallows.
Yeah.
So they go and all you can see is their eyes above the thing, and then you know he goes throw them a marshmallow, and they throw him the marshmallow, and then one of them just looked at us like I don't feel like eating. That look on his eyes was
Yeah.
just like please, you know. And then I have a picture of a little one jumping up and to get a marshmallow that's on a stick. We're not going to use our hands.
Yeah.
But what happens is they do tell you that you do not leave your pets outside at night
Hmm.
because they'll hunt and they'll come and
Yeah.
eat your pet. You bring
Oh
all your
yeah.
pets in here too. I live in
Mhm.
LA, but I live in the hills and we
Mhm.
have coyotes. You do
Oh
not
yeah.
leave your pets out at night. You bring your
Oh yeah.
cats in, you bring your dogs in because there's the scouts that go out to find it and then they can travel in packs and the rest
Mhm.
of them come. So
Yeah.
we
And
also have to bring our pets in Los Angeles.
hmm and here where I'm at in the Dallas area, most people don't even know the Dallas Fort Worth area has coyotes too. We have
Oh,
coyotes, foxes. So yeah, leave your pet out if you want to.
if you want to have them be buffet for one of these other
Yeah,
animals, yeah.
exactly, exactly. Like I grew up knowing like, okay, if I ever have a pet, don't leave it out, especially if you don't have a fence that's about yay high, you know, where you know for a fact that nothing could get in, you know. But
Or they
if
get
you
out, you know,
oh
sometimes
get
the
out,
pets jump over the fence.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you don't want them outside. And alligators are known to go under fences, so you don't want to have
hmm
them outside.
exactly, exactly, exactly. So
So
is there any poems you want to read out of
yeah,
the second
since we
book?
were talking about perception, I
Mm-hmm,
thought I'd read one. Oh, going back just quickly to my Inspire Me Raw.
mm-hmm,
When she read it, she goes, "This is so dark. Do you have anything funny?" And so now I know in every book I put some funny stuff.
mm-hmm,
So I have always been battling weight.
mm-hmm.
Um, so let me see if I find it. Oh, it's called Go-Go Boots because I'm quite a bit older than you, and oh, you can't see it, but
Yeah,
I could never zip up the zipper on the Go-Go Boots because my legs were too fat.
yes,
So I could read. It says called Go-Go Boots. At 10, made a mistake. Told my teacher want to lose weight. First diet included liver once a week, yuck. Different recipe, so nasty, that's not what I seek. Stood in line for a free lunch menu, peanut butter cookies. My favorite munchies, I want one, damn. Hide one for me, please. When teacher's not looking, don't want to get teased for falling off program on the first day. My mom states, you're only 10. No matter, no reason for a diet. Want to be model thin, groovy clothes, buy a go-go boot styling trend. Chubby clothes too short, regular pants too long. Big kid bell bottoms reach calf, average size bells at ankle. Others smoke bongs, skunk weed smell, permeates halls, hide don't tell, jailbait in 68. What to do with weight? Insecurities begin, entire life, same shit, wasted time, and now I'm fine.
Yo, that was awesome. I like how you pretty much in that poem, described what was going on in 1968 in that
Yep.
time. Because you don't get that too often and stuff. And I just like how you put that all into perspective and stuff like that. And also I like how you talked about you know your gym teacher and stuff because you brought it down to a realistic area and stuff, and so it was both funny but yet entertaining, but also showing that the same problems that we go through today was going on back then.
Yeah. And I was
Oh,
10.
yeah,
My mom was like, "Are you crazy?
yeah,
You're
yeah. You're like
only
this.
10. You shouldn't be on a diet."
You're like, what you talking
Um,
about? You want to die? You 10. Yeah, and there's a lot of kids nowadays that's going through that same thing. Like,
because
yo,
you
we
get
talking
teased
about.
by the other kids. Kids are not the kindest people.
Oh no,
Um,
oh no.
there's one poem. Oh, I was going to read Silhouette, but that's really too long. I'll find something else.
Okay,
Um, I find another one that's popular out of this book.
okay, okay.
Um, oh, I have a rant. It's
Hey,
called My Day, and look at this pissed off cat.
oh yeah.
I found the best picture. I was like, oh my God. It's like that is me.
Yes, indeed.
And yet
Yes,
I'm an
indeed.
insight timer meditation teacher.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
you know. So but anyway, this is called My Day.
Okay.
Alarm blasts me out of bed. Jump up quick, stumble on slippers, purged into closet, hangers break, upstairs neighbor stomps, stop noise, pissed. Like it's like if unnecessary dive into clothes abyss wasn't enough. There's a complaint. Bite me comes to mind. Falling was not on my to-do list. Coffee lid not screwed tight, counters bathe in desired brew, wipe quick before seeps into laminated floor, not waterproof, pissed. Slow down, smell the roses, sure. Now stuck with thorns. Luring park meadows, morning walk, sprinkles. Are you freaking kidding me? Bruised knees from 10-year-old desk, continued hits, and still don't learn. What does it take? Out of touch, dense, pissed. Watch TV resting Friday night. Smoke detector goes off. Pull from wall, but it still rings. Get battery, plug back in, rings even louder. Pissed. Going to bed early, use sleep aids, stare at ugly popcorn ceiling, building lights beam on face. Cover face with pillow. Pissed. Alarm blast me out of bed. Jump up quick, didn't stumble, hangers didn't break, quiet and peaceful new day.
Mm, yeah, yeah. I mean, some of them things you named that I went through, I'm like, yeah, I was pissed too.
It's
Yeah.
like, and it's like, and it just continues. It's like, are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
If it's one thing, but it has to be, now granted, this was over like 2 days. It wasn't like all in one
Mm-hmm.
day, but I wrote it all in one day.
Yes, yes.
And, it
I,
was,
hmm
it's being
I like
pissed.
I like one line that you said. You said, "Stop, smell the roses. Now you stuck with thorns." Pissed. I'm like, yeah, that happened to me too.
Yeah, it's just like, and then you feel like How dumb am I that I keep doing the same shit over and over
Yeah,
again? It's like,
exactly. Exactly. I loved it. On the flip side of it, it was very entertaining and it actually has you laughing. But you be thinking about it on a personal end, like, yo, that really did happen to me too. Yeah, I was kind of pissed.
yeah. And I mean, when you tell it, it's funny, but it wasn't funny then.
Yeah, it wasn't funny then. It wasn't funny then, but when you look back at it, you start laughing even at your own experiences. When yo, that was a little bit funny, but it wasn't funny when it happened. It was kind of painful.
Oh my God. And it's just like your whole day, you're like off. Like something happens, but your response time is off.
hmm
It's like,
I,
you hit your toe and then you don't say anything, but then in a minute you're like, ah.
mhm. Especially if you hit that pinky toe on the side of the wall.
Oh my
Yes,
God.
yes,
Oh, and you wonder, it's like, really? I couldn't see a freaking wall in front of me.
yes, indeed, yes,
One
indeed.
time I was going, my apartment is kind of dark.
Yeah.
So, and I have like those blackout shades and, curtains and everything because I can't sleep with the building light coming in.
hmm
So I I didn't realize I turned off all the lights in the living room and I was walking to my bedroom. I didn't realize I closed the door.
Yep.
Bam! I walked right into the door. And I didn't even get pissed. I just started laughing because I go, "Oh my God, how dumb can I be? I just walked into my own damn door."
Mm, mm-mm. Hey, don't worry. I've been guilty of that too. Especially when all the lights is off and you can't see
Yeah.
nothing. You just run into boxes that you forgot that was in the middle of the hallway. Yeah, that
Yeah.
happened to me a couple of days ago.
When I
Couple
go
of
to
nights
bed,
ago.
I make sure there's nothing in the way. Doesn't have to go, you have to get up in the middle of the night, everything is
Yeah.
like out of the way so you don't trip over it because that's all you need to fall. And then your neighbors, you wake them up. And
Yes, indeed. Yes,
do you
indeed.
want me to read one more out of this?
Oh, sure, you can, and then after that, we'll go ahead and do a thing that I call the credentials, where you could tell people where they can
Reach me
get
and stuff.
your works and stuff, or like your Instagram, Facebook, if you are part of that and stuff like that. So hey, we could do one more, and we'd be good.
Okay. This one is called No. You know how we have a lot of anger. I'm going to do a little story. We have a lot of anger. And so it's called No, KNOW. Chasing anger and cornered it. A fearful, sad beast faces me as I approach and see terror in its eyes. I held their hand and anger's calm. I'm sorry I enslaved you for so long, holding you in my rigid heart. You were banging on the walls trying to escape, but I blamed you. I'm sorry. I thought you were hurting me, and yet you were just trying to escape, trying to gear me in destiny's vision, to let me be, and I resisted, lacking knowledge of your truths, and now I know. Here you stand before me, afraid as a child who created you, choking the past without comfort. I hold your hand and liberate you. My sorrow is great as life's whispers confess. I love you and let you go. Embracing you tight, releasing with love. Thank you, fear.
Mm. So yes, please elaborate on that one.
What happened was, how we sorry, we have fears within us.
hmm
And then we keep blaming that our anger or we keep blaming something, you
hmm
know? But yet, at many times, we go through difficult times in our lives because we need to learn to get over that.
hmm
So, if something, that's like what I mentioned earlier, they upset me, but why did they upset me? Was it
Mm,
my own? It was my own insecurities. So yeah, I had to deal with that. It was my own perception. But this one is anger and fear. Why am I fearful? Why do I want to hold on to that fear? We hold on to fear and shame like it's a badge of honor. It is not. It is
mm,
something that we needed to learn to let go of. And so if we embrace our fear, if we embrace our shame, if we embrace it, and that means by talking about it, by
mm.
acknowledging it, because the more you suppress a feeling, the bigger it's going to explode when it
Amen.
comes out. So that is why I was feeling a little angry and fearful, and I realized that my anger was because of fear. And
Hmm.
I had to, say it's okay. I'm human. I could only do so much. I could only change so much. So I embraced that fear and I talk about it. And my poetry books are a lot of me embracing what I feel like I need to go through.
Mm,
And so that's what it was. It's to know. So that's why it's KNOW.
mm. Hey, that was a deep one right there. That's how you ended off right there. But before we end it all the way completely, this is a segment called the Confidential. So tell the people where they could like get your books and show them the books again so they can't say that they never seen it and stuff. They don't know
Okay.
what it's like. But
Let me it and ignore this is the one I used to read from because I mark it up. But this is not for resale. Ignore that. That is not on your copy.
yeah,
So
yeah,
this
yeah.
one is Inspire Me Perception, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the one that deals with that's the poem No came from.
Mm-hmm.
And it just talks about our perceptions and how we view things. So that's why it's called Perception. Inspire Me Perception. And the first book in the Inspire Me series was Raw.
Mm-hmm.
And I love this cover because it was like an aha moment because she's turning on the light
Mm-hmm.
because she was in the dark for so long and now she's turning the light. And that's how I felt when I wrote Raw because I was finally letting go of the darkness and wanting to see the light. And then my other book is Follow Akashic Dreaming Through Time. Again, there has that label, but this is the book.
Mm-hmm.
And this I wrote from dreams. This whole book is on dreams. And each poem stands on its own, but it's creating a story, and the last poem brings it all together.
Yes, indeed.
So I could read one quick one out of there because they're all short if
Okay,
you
cool.
want.
Hey, look, hey, this stuff, this is where poetry and culture meet. So, hey,
I
hey,
thought of reading one because my heritage is Puerto Rican.
okay.
And there's been so much stuff that is like, like they don't want to teach it in school about what
Mm-hmm.
happened in Puerto Rico in the 1950s and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of deals with an entire history of it.
Mm-hmm.
Says an island's rich port, Borinquen, woman's home in the 1950s, travels to Washington for nationalistic ideas, young and fighting for freedom. The unrepresenting house ignoring the years of people's cries. Vieques, bombings where citizens live. Hurricane Maria's cruelty. Time of food and water scarcity. Death and suffering. Did you see? Were you listening? Angry. I followed.
Nice, nice. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. And
Thank you.
hey, can you tell like where were you mentally when you wrote that?
Most of my dreams most of this book, Follow Akasha Dreams Through Time, literally came from dreams.
Oh yeah.
Like it would be really weird. Like this one, I just saw Puerto Rico in a bombing, and I'm like,
Mm,
okay, well that must be Vieques. Vieques, check this out. The U.S. had a military base. They were actually bombing half that island while people who were living on the other half. And we're
mm,
not talking big islands. They were using it as bomb practice where people live. So that finally stopped. I think I forget what year it stopped. It wasn't that long ago that it stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And traveling the unrepresenting house is a House of Representatives
Mm.
because, and I don't condone what they did. They went into the House of Representatives, and they they thought they were going to die. They were trying to stop the things happening in Puerto Rico. You
Mm-hmm.
know, what people don't know is that there's a lot of strip mining that was happening. And strip mining is where you dig so deep into the ground and you turn it over, you can't plant on it. So
Mm.
there, and I'm just touching on a couple of things, then what happened with Hurricane Maria and the paper towels
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and
Yeah, that
and
was
so it's
embarrassing, right?
it's just, and people don't know this history.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows this history.
And
And so I brought it in, and the original name of Puerto Rico is Borinque, Boricua,
mhm,
and I'm considered a Boricua, you
yeah,
know. So but yeah, so there's a lot that's happening there. I have mixed feelings on certain things. I don't believe in violence, but sometimes violence gets their attention, and unfortunately, you know, it sometimes has to go there. I don't know. I don't approve of violence ever, though.
yes,
Um,
indeed. Yes, indeed.
but that's about Puerto Rico.
Yes, indeed. And I'm thankful that you shared that with us about the history of Puerto Rico. That, let's be honest, there's a whole lot of history that in the U.S. they're not teaching in the
No, they
school.
don't want you to know.
Yeah, yeah. Like they like we have to go to different sources, and like the kids that's in school, they they not teaching them this, and it's kind of bad. It's kind of hurtful in some instance. Like what's going on in Puerto Rico was like and also in the African American community, they not telling kids like, hey, guess what? Y'all did so much for this country that we have a whole list of things that y'all created,
Hmm.
but we only gonna tell you this much.
Yeah, and you have to go like I don't know of anywhere that has Puerto Rican studies, but
Mhm.
it's part of the US to begin with.
Yeah, yeah.
But there
American
when
history.
in college is when you get um African American studies. That's when you
Hmm.
get Chicano studies. That's when you get all these other studies that nobody ever knew about. But you have to wait
Yeah.
to get in college. Like I was working at the
Hmm.
African American Center at UCLA.
Hmm.
And so, they archive, and they have, students that write papers and stuff. And so I was helping in the office, and I was looking at this, and I didn't know half this stuff. I knew some of it, but it
Hmm.
really pissed me off. And I
Yeah.
turned to my friend who was also working there, and she's African American.
Hmm.
And I go, I'm really pissed about this. She goes,
Hmm.
yeah, you can't let it overwhelm you. You just have to have it be part of the history, and that we can change the future. And
Exactly.
she's right.
Exactly.
But it's like it doesn't even affect, but it's just pissed me off.
Yeah.
I'm like, how could people just? I stopped watching true crime because I always kept saying, I can't believe people do this to each other. I
Hmm.
can't believe they do, but it's just I stopped looking at it. It was too hard for me to watch.
Hmm. Yes, indeed. And I feel you on that. I feel you on that. And this another thing that I wish that they would do in schools and stuff. They want to talk about American history. Okay, Puerto Rico, American history. African Americans, American history.
Hmm.
Chicanos, American history. If it
They were
wasn't,
pre-American,
yeah,
actually,
yeah,
because
pre-American. You know what I'm saying?
so we're the
Like
Native Americans. Why
exactly.
do you have to learn about your culture in college? It's
Like,
just,
like for me, it was like we was always taught about the Native Americans that's in America, but we didn't learn. I didn't learn about the Native Americans that was pushed down into Mexico until I was in college. I was like, huh, what? So
hmm
we got Chicanos that's related to us, and my teacher was like this, yeah. if you have this Native American blood, you related to over here in Mexico. Like
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. In Puerto Rico, the Tiano, Taino were the native Indians,
Mm-hmm.
or native culture. I don't want to say
Mm-hmm.
Indians because that's really India.
Yeah.
And but they thought that they were kind of extinct group, but
Mm-hmm.
they started doing a lot of DNA tests on current Puerto Ricans, and
Mm-hmm.
that blood is still very strong within that.
Yes,
You
indeed.
know, yeah. So sorry, I diverted because I read another poem.
Yeah. I
We were
understand.
supposed to be closing this off, but
Yeah.
you and I can talk forever.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. We can. We can. We can. And
Yeah.
if you want to, you can share it, or because I know for a fact that I would love to have you back on another podcast episode.
Oh, I
Because
love it.
yes, indeed, there's so much we could talk about. Because I'm like, yo, there's so much about poetry and about the way the world has always been perceived, that we talked about it when I was on your podcast. Like we are in the midst of a renaissance,
Mm-hmm.
and people are actually sitting down and listening to us now. They not just putting us to the side and like, oh no, that's that poetry stuff. Be like falling asleep. And no, they actually sitting down listening to us, because everything that people like Maya Angelou, Langston Hughes, Edgar Allan Poe, all these great, you know, poets was saying in the past are now coming to our eyesight. We seen it for ourselves, and we starting to notice that more poets are speaking about life and what's to come, because we can see it visually with our eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
And we're
and
living
so
it.
yeah, and we live in it, and we are able to write it out where it's understandable to the masses. So yes, we are in the middle of a renaissance, and I'm telling all my poets like, yo, it's time. Hey, here's the platform. We going out here, baby.
Exactly. And what's if we're and education is changing.
Hmm.
We no longer, neither do we have to wait for a publisher to be interested in us.
Hmm.
There are so many different
Exactly.
voices that need to be heard. So having our own platform, I write sci-fi too.
Hmm.
That I would like a publisher for.
Yeah,
But my poetry, I want to be able to say what I want when I want. I'll get it edited.
exactly.
It'll be good. But um yeah, so that's where poetry is. I mean, and I'm glad that President Biden had Amanda Gorman
Hmm.
read. That opened a lot of doors for
Hmm.
poets,
Oh
you
yes,
know.
yes, yes,
And
indeed.
and so it was good to have that, because now more of the general public saw it. Where before
Mhm.
you would have to go to poetry readings or poetry slams or
Yeah.
anything like that to be heard, and
Hmm.
that is not international.
Yeah,
That
definitely.
one poem she did, which I love.
Hmm.
And I said, "You go." I mean, I was watching this, and I watched her give that delivery 3 times. I
Yes.
saw it in the inauguration, and then I
Mhm.
saw it on clips. It was
Mm.
just, I was like, wow. I mean, she's
And
incredible for her
and
age.
she was talking to each and every single one of us. She didn't
Right.
just was talking to her people. She was talking to the Chicanos. She was talking to the whites, the Asians, the Indians from India and stuff. The Native Americans. She was talking to all of us at the same
Yeah.
time in that poem. And
It
I
was
think
so
that's
hopeful.
yeah, I think that's what woke everybody's eyes up. Like, yo, what is this? And everybody that's a poet was like this. Yo, this is what we've been trying to tell y'all for years.
Hey, the last time poetry was so popular was in the 50s with the
Yeah,
beatniks. And they would do the percussion, which
yeah.
I relate that to slam.
Hmm.
poetry slams.
Yeah.
So the only thing I love poetry slams, but the beat has got to get a little different. It's
Yeah.
always the same
Oh
beat.
yeah. It's always the same. And
Beat, yeah, and then that's the only thing that I'm like, okay, I've seen 5 of these with the same beat. I'm like done, even though someone else could come and do an incredible job.
yeah, it's like that.
But
Boom, 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 boom.
yeah, I'll go back to the beatnik, even though it's before my time, and just bring
Yeah.
a conga player with me,
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
or a bongo player is what they used.
Yes.
But yeah, I want to thank you for
Hmm.
being so kind and having me on your show and letting
Yes.
me read my poetry. Um,
Hmm.
and like you said earlier, if people want to reach me, you can go to my website, which is poeticresurrection.com.
Hmm.
There you get links to go to my podcast. And if you want to get in contact with me, you go through Facebook.
Hmm.
I stopped doing my website with emails because I would get spammed
Hmm.
like crazy. So I go through
Hmm.
Facebook. So if people want to reach me, that's also poeticresurrection.com. My name is, Facebook, Poetic Resurrection.
Hmm.
And I'm on Instagram, which is at Poetic Sonia. And you could get all my links from my website. Everything's there. Just go to poeticresurrection.com. My books are all available on Amazon. You could get the ebook or you can get the paperbacks.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And once again, I want to say you are welcome back anytime. Yes, indeed. And until next time, I'm CEO Spoken King, signing off. One love, one dream, and we out, y'all. All right.
Thank you.
You welcome. You're welcome. All right. Peace, love, blessings, y'all.